We get a 1, personal space, 2, personal space, 3.
Hey, hello listeners. This is just a quick disclaimer for this week's episode. As anyone that's listened to the show before knows, there can be some adult language, and anyone that's listening for the first time, please keep that in mind. We tend to be ourselves and not filter, so occasionally a bad word might come out. If you have any children in the room, please put on some headphones or have them put on some headphones. Thank you.
That I don't even care about this. I'm not even interested in having this skin on my personal space.
You're listening to the IDP Guys with Sean, John, and Nathan, the Wizards of Fantasy Football. Your go-to source for the individual defensive player strategy. And now, 3 guys who could only make an NFL team on Madden.
We're back. Welcome to episode 137 of the IDP Guys. I am Nathan, and I'm joined with Johnny and Sean. What's up, guys?
Not much. I can't tell if you were actually struggling with your own name and then covered it by struggling with Johnny's, or that's what I'm going with here.
Well, I've been a little out of practice here. We've been off for a few weeks, so I guess I don't say my name enough.
I often don't say my name for several weeks and still remember it, but maybe that's just me.
Very, very good point there. So for everyone out there, we are back for 3 episodes to finish out our 2020 season. This started way back when we came back from break in March, all the way through, and then this is where we end, right before going on our little hiatus until the NFL draft conversation starts picking back up, probably late March, early April, and that's where we'll start the 2021 season. But glad to be back from break. How are you guys doing?
Good.
Yeah,
I'm good.
Right. That's good. That's good.
Ringing endorsement. Life goes on. Here we are.
It does. It does. It's been COVID season, so you never know. So with that, let's get into the question: what's the biggest surprise or favorite moment from this year's playoffs?
Take it away, Sean.
Oh, Browns
Oh,
winning.
we've got to know. This has to be the Browns.
Browns winning that playoff game, man. I've never gotten to see, since I was 2 years old, a team that I rooted for win a playoff game. And it wasn't the Lions, because they might never. Who knows? But I got to see my Browns win a playoff game, and that was something special. And I felt good about it. And to all the Baker Mayfield sucks people, suck it.
I'm actually with you on this. I think everyone was a Browns fan that game.
Just like everyone became Bills fans. We all,
right.
Anybody from a suffering fan base is rooting for these guys. Like, I don't really like the Bills, but I know what Bills fans are going through. I'm rooting for you. You guys earned it. Let's go.
Yep. Other notable things. I enjoyed the Rams' first game. I enjoyed the Nickelodeon game. I enjoyed Lamar getting a win, and I enjoyed the Bills and the Browns, obviously.
Did you enjoy
a little bit about the Nickelodeon game, though?
Mitchell Trubisky, Nickelodeon Player of the Year.
Yeah.
Dude, that's on his Pro Football Reference resume now. Like, if you go to Pro Football Reference and pull up Mitch Trubisky, it says like Nickelodeon Player of the Year or of the game or whatever it was. And he's like the only one. Like, yeah, it's so dumb.
So did you guys watch that broadcast?
I saw highlights. I don't have Nickelodeon anymore.
Oh, gotcha.
But it looked cool. The slime and the SpongeBob stuff. Hey, works for me.
I thought it was great. I unfortunately had to go into work, so I didn't get to watch that broadcast for much longer than, I don't know, the first quarter. But I just like, if they can keep doing this, I know that when I was younger, and I mean, I lived off of Nickelodeon, I would have been a football fan so much sooner. And this is a way, they talk about like the fans kind of like they're not getting the younger generation of fans into the NFL because of injury risks and all of this stuff, bad PR. Uh, this is the way to do it. Make it fun and bring in. I mean, Nate Burleson was. I mean, he's like made for Nickelodeon to begin with. His personality is just so bubbly and everything. And then I mean, I didn't even care. Like, they had a kid in the booth, and I think that was great. Like, imagine the next great Tony, what is it? The next great like play caller or color analyst coming from like starting in Nickelodeon and then moving up into NBC or ESPN or something.
You laugh. I can actually see that angle. However, the rest of it, like, I don't know, man. I can do without the Nickelodeon, and like, I
But
guess
you don't have to watch it. It's not for you.
It's for the kids. Yeah.
Exactly, and I get that. You got to pull the kids and like see how the kids feel about it. And at least on Twitter, I've seen that a couple of people, their kids were pretty into it. So maybe that's true.
The Kurt Warner thing. Did you guys see that?
No.
Kurt Warner's autistic son sat down and watched a game with him for the first time ever with that Nickelodeon broadcast. Yeah.
That's
That's
huge.
pretty awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, I felt like they really were targeting a younger audience, obviously, but they brought in enough of like, so they had the top 10 SpongeBob sports moments going into the game. Like, I was watching that, and I was like, this is awesome. Like, I like SpongeBob back in the day. Nate Burleson was hosting it, so obviously, I mean, as a Lions fan, I have a little more, interest in watching him. And if you watch Good Morning Football Good Morning Football, he's on there. So like, he's made a name for himself and everything. But I think there was enough for parents to be able to, sit through and watch the game. And then their kids can bring it, they bring in their attention with the slime, with the.
So you're talking about like an alternate broadcast, basically.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's just, you don't have to watch that broadcast, but I wouldn't put like a whole one game only on there. And doesn't the NFL, they're about to restructure their whole media contracts, so they have the ability to be a little more flexible and give more options, because I mean, it's been essentially pretty strict for the past, I don't know how many 20 years or something, as far as ABC, NBC, ESPN gets one. You don't really have streaming rights.
They loosened up a little bit for Yahoo and Amazon, I think. Each of them had one. So they loosened up a bit, but like, I do appreciate them moving in the streaming direction, because realistically, most people don't pay for cable anymore. Like,
right.
Cable is something that most people are trying to not pay for, and football is the only reason they pay for it.
It like, consider like where the shift would be if, like, say, Sunday Ticket was taken from DirecTV, which from what I understand, that contract's about to be up, and is the NFL's standalone app.
Yep, and I would pay the fuck out of that. But I've been wishing to pay the fuck out of that. But yeah, I have no idea whether they'll do that or not, but that would be great, because I do not want to pay for DirecTV, but I also want to watch all my football, and I can't do that without DirecTV, so I just illegally stream it all.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm sure there's more of this to be talked about in news and notes. So let's move on here to how'd you do in your playoff challenges? Johnny?
Bad.
Really?
Yeah. No, not great. I've never been good at those. I don't get it. Because it's all about picking the teams that win. Did well in the first round. I screwed up the second round, so now I don't have any bucks left in the Super Bowl.
Oh, gotcha.
I got Chiefs. I got plenty of Chiefs. No bucks.
Yeah. That's funny. Sean, you don't play any playoff challenges, do you?
No, playoffs is my time to relax. It's like I want to watch football for football and not deal with any of this because I know the Lions aren't in it anyway. So it's like, yeah, I don't have to stress. I just get to watch football. Let's go.
Yeah, I won week 1 of the the Dynasty Vipers playoff challenge. I got the highest score, and he was giving away T-shirts to high score winners, and went into week 2 in the top 3. And then, even though I had a really good week 3, I'm just outside the top 10, I believe. But there's only about 20 points in between number 1 and where I am. And I was looking at possibly hitting number 1, and then the Chiefs just steamrolled through the Bills. And I had Hilaire, Singletary going, and Kelsey. So I didn't and Hardman. So 2 of those 4 were good. So we'll see where it goes. I'm also top 15 in the IDP guys playoff challenge out of 100. So not too terrible. Usually I don't do well in these, so it's just been kind of luck. And I don't know who I have left. I mean, IDP guys, we have the two uses, so pretty much everyone's on the block for me there. But for the Dynasty Vipers one, I'd have to look and see who I got left. Probably not a whole lot. I know I kept Patrick Mahomes till the end, and I don't think I've used too many bucks, to be honest. So could be
good analysis.
Yes, very good.
What's up, guys? It's Josh,
Adam,
and Bobby
here with the Big 3 IDP podcast. And if you've never listened to our show before, here's just a taste of the insanity that you will get week in and week out with the Big 3 IDP podcast.
Skunks are so cute.
We just ate White Castle at like 10:45 at night.
I tell you, one I liked about it a little bit more was Jeffrey Simmons.
Ooh, did you say a Bartman, like Steve Bartman? I don't like Bartman in Chicago this year. He's going to catch too many foul balls.
You know it's all about getting real and getting down to business and getting down to the facts.
Slide 'em in, slide 'em out.
It's right.
So, if you would like more of the shenanigans that you just heard in these little snippets, be sure to subscribe to the Big 3 IDP podcast wherever you get your podcast adding. Listeners are guaranteed to have a good time.
Hey, you can't afford not to do this, baby.
That's right, baby.
This week's news.
Alrighty, we've been gone for a while. So there's a lot of news. We'll maybe accelerate to light speed, or maybe we'll do a 10-minute rant on Nickelodeon, and you guys won't get out of here until 10 o'clock at night. We'll see.
Yeah.
Here we go. We'll start with Matt Stafford. Wants to leave the Lions. We talked about this a little bit later in the interview with Dr. Super Bowl, but I give the floor to you guys. This is all you.
It sucks, but it's necessary. And I hate what I'm seeing in the national media as far as like the Lions just essentially being picked over, like Stafford's dead and they just want to pick over his body. That's my take.
Stafford needed to go, not because he wasn't good, but because this team is garbage. And this team is not going to be good by the time he's out of his prime. So
Mm-hmm.
send him somewhere else. Send him somewhere he can win. He's earned that. He's been loyal to this team. He's a great dude. He's a great quarterback. Send him to the 49ers. Let him win a Super Bowl. Get Jimmy Garoppolo the fuck out of there. And, like, dude, just start over, rebuild. I don't know what they're going to get in compensation. To be honest, like, going into it, I thought it was going to be 2 seconds or a second and third. Then national media kind of came out and said like minimum of a first, maybe multiple firsts. And then Peter King from Sports Illustrated came out and said like 2 seconds. So I've got no idea where we're going to be at. I know Lions fans are going to be pissed no matter what they get for it. And like, oh, they lowballed. And it's like, yeah, you people saying that you got shitty compensation are the same people that have been bitching about Stafford for the past 5 years.
Yeah. So we've got basically 2 major suitors if we want Stafford to go someplace that gets him a Super Bowl almost immediately. You've got the Colts and you've got San Francisco. Now, here's my question. Is the AFC more guaranteed or the NFC more guaranteed for Stafford to win a Super Bowl? Meaning, if he goes to the AFC, he sees the Chiefs in the championship and then maybe a easier team in the Super Bowl, or he sees the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. Which is the better scenario?
I think it's pretty much the same because you got to face them both either way. I think I would rather be in the NFC personally. A lot of vacated quarterbacks coming out of there right now. Yeah, I'd rather have him go to the 49ers because same shit that I'm about to say or maybe have said already in the Dr. Super Bowl episode. Don't know how this lines up here, but like, dude, Stafford would have won that Super Bowl with the 49ers if you remove Jimmy G from the equation. So I'm happy to see him out of here because he did not deserve the franchise that he was stuck with. And as much as I am a Lions fan, dude, the Lions organization has fucked him. And I am done with it for him. Like, send him somewhere else. Let's try this again and start over.
Excellent. That parlays nicely into Dan Campbell. We talked about this a little bit with Dr. Super Bowl also, but take on everyone just knows him from the press conference. What's your actual take?
Interesting, because the take from the press conference is kind of my actual take, but the take from the entire press conference is different than the press conference. So like the entire press conference did not make him look that bad. Like the entire press conference, he actually looked good and charismatic and impressive. The 19-second take or whatever made him look like a meathead.
Like a lunatic,
Right.
a raving lunatic.
My opinion is that he is a meathead. Like, I just think he is. I think that he probably is a good culture coach, but like his views on the NFL are outdated, as are multiple people that have been brought on staff where it's like, yeah, they're very highly respected as coaches. People highly desire them, but like they're not at the forefront of the NFL mind. Anthony Lynn, run first offensive coordinator. Deuce Staley, running back coach that you're bringing in. Head coach, tight end coach, talking about biting off kneecaps and how quarterback doesn't matter. Like, all of this spells old school football. And it's like, man, these guys might be really good coaches in terms of like talent development and culture and all that, but you need somebody there that's telling them like, okay, but like, don't run the football 40 times a game. Like, don't.
Well, what's the other option right now? We've got essentially, if you look at this roster, we have DeAndre Swift and we have TJ Hawkinson. We don't have a defense. and Stafford's gone. So what are we going to get? Like the third or fourth quarterback in the draft, and who's probably not going to be around for too long. Who knows? Like,
you could get this. What do you mean he's probably not going to be around very long? What does that mean?
I'm just saying, like, I have thoughts of like Cleveland, just we're going to be running through quarterbacks for the next whatever, because we had Stafford, we blew our load for the last 12 years on, a great quarterback. And now we're going to have like this curse of, who knows, whatever.
There's no such thing as curses. Get out of here with your the Lions negativity. The SOL.
The Bobby Lane curse is real.
No, it's not. Get out of here. No.
But so, I mean, it makes sense that they're bringing in guys that are going to be more geared towards running backs and, and tight ends.
It makes the opposite of sense because you're about to go out and get a new quarterback. You want guys that know how to get out there and coach a quarterback up and build around a quarterback and all that stuff. Like that's what you want to do. And for me, this team is going to suck next year, regardless of who they get at quarterback. But what you want to do is you go out, you draft a quarterback like Justin Fields or Zach Wilson. You spend some of your cap money. You can honestly just cut everybody on defense. Don't care because I don't care how many games they win this year. You're going out there next year to get this quarterback, surround them with some sort of weapons so that you can properly evaluate this quarterback and say, is this our guy? And if it's not your guy, then your team's going to suck. And then you try again next year. If it is your guy, then this is my guy. It's time to start spending all this money. It's time to start spending all these draft picks. We're going to do all this. We're going to build around this guy, and you go for it. And hopefully,
how often does, not to cut you off, but how often does it work where you draft a quarterback, plays immediately, and then within a couple years you go to the Super Bowl? What I would really like to see is us get a journeyman quarterback. I really like Ryan Fitzpatrick or Brian Hoyer for this.
God, you're my fucking nightmare.
But look at it. You've got Patrick Mahomes sat behind a quarterback and then came out, started, and look at where he's at now. Aaron Rodgers did the same thing. Like these quarterbacks you develop them, and then they start year 2 or year 3.
You picked two of the only 3 in the NFL that have ever done that. So the quarterbacks that come out and immediately go to the Super Bowl, you have Patrick Mahomes in year 2. You have Carson Wentz. You have Carson Wentz. You have Ben Roethlisberger. All these quarterbacks, they do that. That is what they do. The problem is if you go and you get a bridge quarterback before you draft your rookie, then you end up in a situation where you win 5-6 games like we have been. And if you want to go get your quarterback, you have to trade away 3 firsts to go do it. And you set yourself back so much to have to go and do that. Whereas if you just are bad, you get your quarterback and then you have 5 years to build a roster. And a roster is turned over basically 100% in about 3 years. So you can remake an entire roster, especially if you're saving cap room and you're not doing stupid free agent contracts and all that. You can remake an entire roster around a player, which is what the Browns did. And the Browns are doing great. The Chiefs.
Baker didn't start right away either.
Yes, he started. He started week 3 or week 4.
Was it?
Yep.
Yeah, I guess you're right because what's his face got injured.
Yep.
That was the Bud Light game.
Yeah. Yeah, it was. Yeah. So you look at just team building, and the problem is that if you get a bridge quarterback, you're going to win a couple more games. Like Ryan Fitzpatrick, you put him on any roster and he's going to win 4 or 5 games, no matter what roster he's on, just because he's going to have some sort of bullshit going on that works out for him. And you win.
That Fitzpatrick.
Right. You win 5 games and you're not picking top 3, which means if you want to get your quarterback, you got to trade up. Whereas the Jaguars right now, they're getting Trevor Lawrence. The Browns, they got Baker Mayfield. Like
that's a
the
good point.
The ones you're looking at are anomalies where it's like, yeah, Patrick Mahomes fell to like somewhere between 10 and 15. Aaron Rodgers fell to 21. Like those guys don't normally fall in your lap. You got to get your guy. And if you want to do that, you need a top pick. So for me, I would much rather just suck until I get my guy, throw him out there with some good receivers. And if he's not good, move on. And you got the first pick the next year and you try again.
Mm.
Yep.
Yeah, hopefully we're not the Browns doing that for 20 years.
The Browns actually, as soon as they hired Sashi and they decided to go with the analytics side and accumulate draft picks and build it all up, they did it in like 3 years. They knew they were going 0-16. They were okay with it. They threw a fucking parade for it, and then they were good.
This is what I really hate about being a Lions fan, as far as like we went 0-16 like 20 something. What is it? I don't know, 15 years ago, and we couldn't figure it out. And then the Browns go 0-16, and then they essentially do what they just did, and it's like they turned it around so quickly, and now we have to deal with we are the worst of the 0-16 franchises.
Analytics, it works.
Mm-hmm. Moving on, Adam Gase fired. Marone and Lynn too. No surprises here. Anthony Lynn somewhat surprised me. Any other surprises there for you guys?
Anthony Lynn is now the offensive coordinator for the Lions.
Yeah,
I know. Congratulations.
We're a few weeks behind here. So
yeah, well, this is all old news. It gets newer as we go along.
Doug Peterson was surprised.
Doug Peterson. Yeah,
that's further down the list. Yes, Doug Peterson.
Let's just do that now, dude. The ice cream video. I don't know if you saw it.
I did not. What was that?
Look it up. You might cry. Benjamin Solak posted it. It's a repost, but
no. I did see that. Yes, let's go get some ice cream.
Oh my God. It's so sad. It's like, dude, this guy's great. I love this guy. This guy like I want this guy should be my dad. I want this guy to be my dad. Or at least
was
like
a great video. Yeah.
Right. At least my uncle. And like I don't know what podcast they were on, but they were talking about it, him and Trevor Sikkema. So it had to have been the Draft Network podcast. But just talking about how like every time he's like, yeah, and then we'll go get some ice cream. And then he just kind of like looks at him for reaction and nobody gives a reaction. But like you can tell he's waiting for them to, I think Trevor Sikkema said like, rip their shirts off and just go nuts and start screaming. It's like, that's kind of what it reminds me of, where it's like, yeah, Doug Peterson's in there, like he's waiting for everybody to just get amped about ice cream and then they just don't. And you're kind of just like, I don't know, man, like ice cream's nice. Thanks, dude. Like, yeah.
Yeah, no, I did see that. Yeah, I mean, and he got Philly their Super Bowl, you know. Hurts looked okay. He looked decent.
Yeah. I didn't understand that firing, and when he got fired, he was the guy that I wanted the Lions to bring in because I mean, I don't understand. Like, I thought he would be pretty solid. Like, anyone in Philly would buy him a beer at the after that Super Bowl kind of thing. Like, I didn't think he would out his chance.
I would have been thrilled with him as offensive coordinator, to be honest.
Well, yeah, but I mean, I think he's still head coach material.
Clearly, nobody else thought that. So, like, that's what I'm saying is, like, I don't think he was going to get another head coaching job after that immediately. So I was hoping that rather than taking the fired Anthony Lynn, we would take the fired Doug Peterson.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Urban Meyer, Jags coach. That was interesting. What's everyone's take on that? And we'll round it out. Robert Saleh, Jets, and Brandon Staley, Chargers. Thoughts?
No opinions on Saleh or Staley, both defensive-minded head coaches, which anybody who follows me on Twitter knows I'm not a fan of. As far as Urban Meyer, it's risky, and I'm kind of into it. I think
really?
he did
it. It's risky. I think he's got perfect situation there. I mean, they've got high draft picks. They've got a really open cap. That division's not too terrible.
I don't think it's risky for him. I think it's more risky bringing him in just because we don't really know what it's going to look like in the NFL. We haven't seen it. And anytime you bring in college head coaches that are this highly touted, you got to remember that so much of what they did in college is related to their recruiting, which doesn't really apply anymore, at least not to the same extent. That said, I'm optimistic for his future because their offense does not look the same year to year. And it did for a little while, but it was largely because they didn't have a lot of quarterback talent. But then, like, you look at how they use Curtis Samuel as like running back, wide receiver hybrid, lots of reverses, very similar to how Kyle Shanahan utilizes Deebo Samuel and stuff. That's forward thinking, and that worked for him. And then you look at stuff like Terry McLaurin and Paris Campbell, where you largely blame coaching for Terry McLaurin not getting more targets when he was clearly the better player. But then you look a little further, it's like Dwayne Haskins was a bad quarterback, and he didn't really have it. And so, like, he was kind of protecting Haskins by throwing a bunch of crossing routes and screen passes and all that stuff. And it makes you think that, like, Urban Meyer might be somebody that's been underutilized as a coach just because he's been so good at recruiting, where like he might actually be really good at finding niche pieces and figuring them out, but he hasn't really ever had to do it to the extent he'll have to do it in the NFL just because he's had superior talent.
Yep. Those are the three I had down. Were there any more hirings? I don't think I updated that in a minute. I got coordinators. I got Dan Quinn of Dallas. I'm actually pretty happy with that. Thoughts?
Nah.
Okay. No other head coaches?
No, not off the top of my head, but I'm sure there are a couple. I don't remember them though.
Yep. We talked about this with Dr. Super Bowl, Larry Fitzgerald, Phillip Rivers, and Drew Brees all retiring. Roethlisberger on the fence. I think we all agreed Hall of Fame. I mean, obviously for Fitzgerald and Brees, but Rivers as well.
I'm very curious to see what happens with Rivers, because if Stafford doesn't get a Super Bowl, I think he will fall in line with whatever happens with Rivers. I think he's got a better shot of getting in than Rivers, but if Rivers gets in, Stafford gets in.
I think I agree with you 90%. Stafford with his new team would not have to win a Super Bowl, but he would have to win a couple playoff games.
Okay, yeah.
As long as he goes out there and he wins 3 playoff games, I think that he's on par with Rivers. So you're right. Like 100%, Rivers kind of sets the precedent for Stafford as long as Stafford gets those playoff wins.
Okay. So you think Rivers is ahead of Stafford as a player?
As a Hall of Fame candidate, not as a player.
Okay. Gotcha. Okay.
Josh Gordon, done again. Did we ever find out why that was? I saw his reinstatement got yanked.
I have no idea, man. It can't be weed. We've heard whispers that it's not weed and it's something else. No one knows what it is. Props to his agent for keeping it under wraps for this long. Sorry for Josh Gordon for dealing with whatever he's dealing with. It's at a point where like he's getting too old for this to even be salvageable, where like we've been waiting for years where it's like, okay, if he comes back, like he can still be good. He can still be good. We're at the point where it's like, I don't even know if he can be serviceable by the time he comes back, if he ever does.
Yeah. You don't have him on your team in Dynasty.
Sean does. Sean's got $1 million.
Oh, yeah.
I got a lot of Josh Gordon.
Yeah. Mark Ingram released, not exactly a massive surprise.
No,
Headed to the Lions.
that was a weird salary cap cut too, where like Mark Ingram was like cool with it, but I really feel like it was a shitty move by the organization where they're like, yeah, as long as we cut you by this date, we don't have to pay you this amount of money. So they cut him like mid playoffs. It was like, yeah, Mark Ingram just like being okay with it. It's like, but like that was shitty. So yeah, I don't know. I could be wrong on that, but yeah, when it came out, it looked like a really shitty move by the organization.
Yeah, no, I remember thinking that as well. Yep. You guys saw the AJ Brown thing about the knee surgery and get yeah, that was wild, right?
and his dad cutting him off on Instagram.
Yep.
And then him coming back and apologizing and also like jokingly blaming the nurse. Like, I don't know. The whole thing was
What
fun.
happened?
So he had a knee injury in week 2. They said he was done for the year. Apparently he played through it the entire season, and then he got surgery on it, and he was doped up from whatever they used on him to put him out. And he went on Instagram and said, "I should have been done in week 2, but I played on a bad knee all year." Like,
yeah,
you know, makes everyone look bad. Not him, but it makes the organization look bad. Yeah,
right. So then his dad took over his Instagram account and said, basically, like, "Sorry, AJ Brown will not be jumping on Instagram Live tonight. Apologies, he's doing fine." And so then AJ Brown recovered and was like, "I'm really sorry I did this. It's not who I am. It's not, it embarrasses the organization. Like this whole thing, like I know a lot of you thought it was funny, but like I don't. And I blame the nurse."
right.
It was like, yeah, okay, that's pretty funny.
And then like a day or two later, we found out that Jamal Adams played on a bunch of stuff all year that was crazy. Breeze had more injuries than he originally reported, and Cole Beasley played through a broken leg in the playoffs. Like, unbelievable.
Yep.
Well, that makes sense for why he essentially was like not there week 1. Was it week 1? The first week of playoffs?
What are you talking about? Oh, Cole Beasley? No, that was this week.
Huh?
That was this week he broke it, right? Or was that last week?
I'm not sure.
All I know is I started him in one of the playoff leagues thinking that I needed somebody in that Bills game, and he did nothing. Like,
well, I mean, it was the low scoring game. It was weird.
True, but it would make sense if he was playing on a broken leg because then he wouldn't.
Greg Jennings.
And last but not least on news, Deshaun Watson, where do we think he goes? I've got a buddy at work that's convinced it's the Jets. I don't know. I mean, does that make sense to you guys?
That's where he wants to go.
I don't think no. That report was bogus. Don't believe anything that Bleacher Report says. They're bogus. Sorry.
Throw him under the bus.
Yeah, I know I shouldn't have done that, but I did. No, I honestly don't know if Deshaun Watson goes anywhere. And like, this is not from sources. It's just from a logistics standpoint where you look at it and it's like, all right, so a team needs to give up 3 firsts to get Deshaun Watson.
It's a lot.
Right. And if you're the Jets or the Dolphins and you give up 3 firsts, that hurts your team building perspective. So, like, situationally, you would think you would send that player to a team that is already ready to win. Send Deshaun Watson to the 49ers, but like, do we really think the 49ers are going to give up their next 3 firsts for Deshaun Watson before having to pay all their young talent right now when they're all on rookie deals and not try and recoup some of that money? I don't know. I don't see a way that logistically it makes sense to trade for Deshaun Watson.
Yep. We'll see. I mean, he's unhappy. That's where all this is coming from, but that might not be enough, you know? It might not be enough. We shall see. A couple of quick notes before we turn it over here. Congrats, Kyle B, for winning the Pick'em this year. I'm not sending you a $10 entry because you already work for us. I had second place, and a friend of the show, Sean, with a W, won third place. Congrats, Z-Mags, turning $4 into $800 on a 20,206 to 1 odds of hitting parlay.
Holy shit. What?
Yep.
I missed that.
How did, dude? Everyone was flipping out. How did you miss that? That was on the Steelers Browns game.
Oh, that's why. It was the Browns playoff game.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it was just in the Slack chat. But he had one of those.
Imagine my level of drinking on a Browns Steelers playoff game when the Browns are crushing them. Like, I was like 12 shots deep by the second.
Level of intoxication could have killed an elephant.
Yeah. It was like I woke up the next day at like 7 p.m.
That makes sense. But no, he had one of those wild FanDuel parlays where it's like, I need like 8 people to score a touchdown. And everyone did except Chase Claypool, and Claypool ended up getting 2. Like, it was wild. Okay, so that's it for notes. We got the pass rushing rates as an edge chart. Sean, if you want to touch on that real quick, this was something interesting you pulled the other day. Jerry Hughes.
Yeah. I don't know if you can pull it up on the screen or not, but what's the account I pulled that from so we can credit him?
Yes, sir.
Is ESPN pass rush metrics using NFL Next Gen stats data, and that's the information I got.
In color 2020.
God damn it. Okay, so I don't have the account that this came from, which is really sad. I think it's a guy named Anthony on Twitter. That probably doesn't help anybody, but basically it was a chart of pass rush win rate versus double teams. So like the people in the top right quadrant were people that, you know, that like were double teamed often and still succeeded. And then there were people who, you know, succeeded, but they weren't double teamed very often. So when you look at it, the second class of people are people that are going to regress a little bit. And the people that were double teamed often and still succeeded were people that you kind of expect to continue succeeding going forward. So I don't have it in front of me. Johnny, you want to list off a couple of the people that were in the category of players that were double teamed and succeeded going forward that were a little surprising? Brian Burns, Jerry Hughes.
Yeah, TJ Watt, Brian Burns, Jerry Hughes, Harold Landry, Shaq Barrett, DeMarcus Lawrence, Yannick Ngakoue.
Now, those are guys that aren't, they're on the other
end.
of.
Is that the wrong side? I'm multitasking. You're looking
for JJ Watt, seems to be the most double team.
Yes. Yeah, Bosa, Garrett, right.
He's over a 0.2 and close to a 0.3 on double team rate. Then you got Myles Garrett, Joey Bosa. And then as you start getting into like the center, Chase Young is at a 0.2 on both sides of the scale.
Which is phenomenal as a rookie.
Yeah. But kind of coming into the center part. Montez Sweat,
Brandon, yeah, Caleb Chase. Brandon Graham is an interesting one in there.
Mm-hmm. Brandon Graham was crushing it for the first half of this year. Like I don't know if either of you guys have him on any IDP rosters, but he was like a lifesaver for me as like a fourth defensive lineman for the early parts of this year. Like he absolutely was slaying.
Nice. Yeah. No, I mean, these generally, it's your top 3 DLs for the most part. Garrett, Bosa. I mean, Daniil Hunter didn't play this year, so he wouldn't be on here. JJ Watt, if you want that old school, could retire at any moment feel.
Yeah, he had a really good year though. Like
right,
really
and that's kind of the thing. When you find guys like this that are like top 3 in a certain metric, it's like we should pay attention to this metric. So, like pass rush win rate versus double teams, very good. And from the main account, we'll try and send out credit to whoever did this so that we can.
Once Sean figures out who it was.
I mean, I sent it to Johnny like 3 weeks ago, man. But once we figure out who it was, we'll link the tweet so you guys can all take a look at it. It's a good reference.
It's interesting that Zadarius Smith is just under the bar for the win rate, but he's one of the farther over double team rates. So he's more double team than Myles Garrett, Joey Bosa, less than JJ Watt, but at a win rate of just under Odenigbo, Emmanuel Agba, just above Max Crosby. Just an interesting one because he's in that conversation of like top 10 when you're drafting.
Yeah, I think he should be. Where like if those double teams come down a little bit, he probably moves up the win rate a little bit. And if those win rates turn into sacks, then points.
Yeah. And so this is also interesting because TJ Watt is at the top of the win rate, but he is closer to the bottom of the double team rate. So,
yep,
could see those numbers come down if
opposed start double teaming him more.
Yeah.
Well, me and Sean talked about that. A good part of that was the injuries. Bud Dupree, Alex Highsmith, shit like that. Like, you know, Alex Highsmith ain't scaring you. Like,
yeah.
Yep.
Definitely. Alrighty. Alrighty, time for some listener questions. This is where Johnny pulls some random Outlook questions or questions from our Slack channel. I would recommend people go to the idpguys.org and become a subscriber, but right now the website is currently being remodeled, so we will have information probably actually in this segment about that. But until then, send Johnny an email at bigchunkus@gmail.com.
There you go. Yeah, so this one is from Steelers season went south because of Juju's mouth at outlook.com. Asks, how's the site remodel coming?
Nice.
Jesus fucking Christ.
Well, it's going actually better than I expected. We shut down the site essentially right after week 17. And I am hoping to be able to open it back up by next Friday, right before Super Bowl. So definitely on track for what I wanted to be able to do. And it's very remodeled. So I'm hoping people will be able to access their subscriber accounts easier, get in and log in easier, and be able to take in, all the great data and stuff that we have have an easier time with the site. We also have a developer that is coming on board with us. So some of those tools that we've been teasing for the past, 6 months now with the customizable stats and all of that, that should start trickling in. We might relaunch with one of those. It might be just after, but we've got a lot of things underway, and this is going to be a big year for us, especially now that I've got a back-end developer, and it is beyond the possibility that next year we're talking about the IDP Guys app. So,
ooh,
yep,
exciting.
That is the state of the website.
Beautiful. That's it. The other one I had was just like to go there.
Yep. All right.
special guest.
Alrighty, we've got a very special treat for everyone this week. It's our tradition. It's our annual interview with Dr. Super Bowl on Twitter. He's at Dr. Super Bowl, Dr. Super Bowl. Welcome to the show, sir. Thank you for joining us once again.
Yeah, great to be here, and this is the most wonderful time of the year.
It is. This is our Super Bowl tradition.
Yeah.
You know, we have the guy on that's forgotten more about NFL history and Super Bowl stuff than we'll ever know.
No,
And he graces us with the knowledge. So how you been, man? How are things?
oh my God, I just turned 45. Can you believe it?
Oh wow!
Hey, you could still play in the Super Bowl though.
Well, if I was Jeff Fiegel's former punter of the Eagles.
There you go. Yeah, we were talking about this before we hit record. Yeah, it's like Brady gets younger, we all get older. It's crazy.
Man, he's great.
Yes, sir. So, yeah, man, we've got a really good one this year. The first home team ever playing in the Super Bowl. What are your thoughts, kind of going into this game? What are some interesting tidbits about this year's edition?
Well, we'll talk about, first of all, being a home team. I think possibly you've heard about Super Bowl 14 when the Rams home games were played at the LA Coliseum, but they played the Super Bowl in Pasadena. But it didn't matter. You know, Los Angeles to Pasadena with traffic is just as long as Pittsburgh taking the plane. So I don't know if it made a difference. And by the way, if you've ever watched, I don't know, are you guys like history enough to have watched like Super Bowl 14 on YouTube? Is that interesting enough to you or not?
No. I started watching Super Bowls like '89, so I don't think I've gone past further than that, to be honest.
If you're interested, it's from January of 1980. And the Steelers, it's their fourth championship in 6 years. They had a ton of Hall of Famers. I think everybody on the team was drafted by the team, which is very interesting. You know, there was no like free agent signees. You know, it was a home built football team. And but the point I'm getting at is like the game was in Pasadena, which is right down the street from Los Angeles. But there were just as many Steelers fans, you know, waving the terrible towel because they were at their ultimate bandwagon power at that time. And everybody knew Terry Bradshaw and Joe Green and Franco Harris and Lynn Swann and Stallworth and Jack Lambert and Jack Ham and Mel Blount and Mike Webster. You know, this team was just so great, so much fun. So like I will spend hours watching the 70s Steelers. I have no like affiliation with the Steelers. They're not even one of my 10 favorite teams, let alone 20 favorite teams maybe. But that particular group of Steelers was great. And the Rams were 9-7 that year to make the Super Bowl, the first team with under 10 wins to get there. They needed any advantage they can get. So I guess playing in Pasadena at the Rose Bowl helped them a little bit. There were 104,000 people at that game, which, you know,
oh wow,
is
yeah,
heard, you know, and the Rams throughout the 70s were very, very good. But this was the first time they actually made it to the Super Bowl. So they had all these winning teams. They hosted championship games. But this was the first time they made the Super Bowl. So anyway, that's one example. The second example is Super Bowl 19, which was San Francisco and Miami, and the 49ers like played kind of a virtual home game because they played that game at Palo Alto, California, which is about a half hour from San Francisco at Stanford Stadium. And that one, they did have a pretty profound home field advantage if you've ever watched the tape. Again, this is from January of '85, so I don't know if you've actually went on YouTube. It's also the first Super Bowl ever broadcast by ABC. Up until that point, it was like a flip-flop between CBS and NBC, but this is the first Super Bowl broadcast by ABC, play-by-play by the brilliant Frank Gifford, who, if you've never listened to do a play-by-play broadcast, he had such a great voice. Like I hear my childhood when I listen to the football games broadcasted by Frank Gifford. But anyway, San Francisco crushed Miami. It was the only time Dan Marino made the Super Bowl.
Oh, okay.
38-16. So those are kind of the two times where a team came very close to their home stadium, but didn't actually play in it. Where Tampa Bay this year, it's the first time in their home stadium. It's the 5th time the Super Bowl's been in Tampa and the 3rd time at Raymond James Stadium.
Nice. Yeah, I saw that it's the 5th time. What were the other games? Were there any notable examples of those other games? Anything the common man would remember?
Oh yeah, yeah. 3 of the 4 you'll remember the key play in each of these games. Super Bowl 18, the Raiders from Las Vegas now had a 38-9 win over the Redskins, the Washington football team. So they beat them 38-9. Marcus Allen had a 74-yard touchdown run, and it's just, I think on the NFL Network's top 10 greatest runs of all time, it was 1 or 2, maybe 2, because Beast Mode might have been number 1, but you get the point. It was a tremendous run, and that was the first ever Super Bowl in Tampa. It was in the old sombrero, they called it, because of the way it was shaped. And Marcus Allen was the game MVP. 20 carries, 191 yards, 2 touchdowns. It just his second season, whereas Jim Plunkett was in his 13th season, and he won his 2nd Super Bowl. Tom Flores, who probably makes the Hall of Fame this year, was head coach. It was his 2nd Super Bowl championship, and I was only 8 years old. But I for some reason I liked the Raiders. I've always liked the Raiders, but that particular night, my family and I were very happy. We were cheering for the Raiders. So that was the first one. The second one was Super Bowl 25, which was the memorable Scott Norwood wide right field goal miss.
Oh, okay.
January. Yep. I think tomorrow will be the 30th anniversary of that game where the Giants won 2019. The winner of this game really was Coach Belichick, who was the defensive coordinator and devised the scheme where he was just going to play 2 down linemen and have a bunch of linebackers and defensive backs out there. And Buffalo played right in their hands. They just kept throwing the ball. That's who they were, though. You don't get to a place and then just change, because especially 30 years ago, where you just all of a sudden we're going to run Thurman Thomas every play. That's not how they played. So the game was only close because of Coach Belichick, and then the Giants only won because Norwood pushed that kick wide right. But it was a very interesting Super Bowl because it was during the Persian Gulf War. So I was 15 years old. So I was like, all I was interested in is, why do they keep cutting out from football to show us war highlights? Because I was naive to all of that. I was like a real, football scholar of football at 15. That's all I wanted to think about. And I lived in Buffalo at the time. I was living in a town called West Seneca, which is the next town over from Orchard Park, where the Bills would play their home games. And so it really hit close to home when they missed the kick. I know my family was devastated. I wasn't as heartbroken, although I did like the Bills. Don't get me wrong, but my brother and sister are much to this day are much bigger Bills fans, and probably would be in the Bills Mafia. Then the first Super Bowl ever played in Raymond James Stadium, not a memorable Super Bowl. It's the one time the Giants lost the Super Bowl. They got walloped by Baltimore, the 2000. Oh, yeah. Britney Spears was one of the halftime people.
Yep.
And the most interesting part about this game was an absolute boring, just terrible game. Even from a person who loves defense, it was a boring game. The Giants didn't cross the 50. So in the mid-third quarter, the Ravens got a pick 6 off Kerry Collins, who threw his 4th interception of the night. Then the Giants returned the ensuing kickoff.
Right. I remember that.
Ravens returned the ensuing kick. So if you just watch 3 to 5 minutes of coverage of that game on YouTube, you get the whole game. Really. I mean, the other 56 minutes is just, unless you like watching the 2000 Ravens defense at their peak, which some people do, you want to see great defense. Yeah. I would prefer, if I want to see great defense, I would prefer the Von Miller Broncos probably is my favorite defense, or the 85 Bears. But the 2000 Ravens were good. They were very, very strong up front. And their linebackers, of course, with Ray Lewis, were just all world. And then the last Super Bowl in Tampa was an absolute phenomenal football game. One of the 10 greatest playoff games in all time. I have it rated 6th coming into this season, and that was Super Bowl 43 between the Cardinals and Steelers.
Oh yeah.
Coach Tomlin, my favorite coach in the NFL, he won his first Super Bowl. He was like your age.
Yeah.
Time. And that game features my very number one favorite play in NFL history, which is James Harrison's interception return, the last play of the first half. Do you remember this play?
Oh, I do. Yeah, he almost went out of bounds right at the end, and everyone was trying to catch him. That was crazy. Yeah, that's awesome.
There's so many things. There's so many things about this play. It was I think there was 9 to 13 seconds left in the half, something like that, and the Cardinals were trailing 10-7. Okay, if you remember this, 10-7. Worst case scenario is Warner throws it through the end zone, right? And they end up kicking a field goal. We go to half. It's 10-10. And it had been 10-0 Steelers. The Cardinals had all the momentum. Fitzgerald was uncoverable that year. I mean, there were other times when Fitzgerald was uncoverable, but in 2008 playoffs, it's the greatest performance in postseason history by a wide receiver, bar none. Okay. That includes Edelman, Rice, Gronkowski, Tyreek Hill, everybody. The number one performance by a receiver in playoff history is 2008 Cardinals, Larry Fitzgerald. So anyway, instead of getting a touchdown to take the lead or a field goal to tie it, they throw an interception. Okay, that's all right, because you're only down 10-7 with getting the second half kickoff. The guy starts returning it. Now, it's not Palomalu, okay? It wasn't,
right.
It wasn't, Ike Taylor. It wasn't Ryan Clark. It was Harrison, who was 300 pounds of muscle, right? Maybe the strongest player in the whole football league, but not the fastest.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, you have never seen him do this before. So he's returning the thing, and you just see people falling over and people missing tackles and people falling out of bounds, and he just keeps going. He's not running super fast. So the play takes up the rest of the half. I mean, it was just like the half ends and he's still running. So either he's going to score a touchdown or he's going to get tackled and there's going to be no points. and then he just barely gets in because two wide receivers, Fitzgerald and Breston, tackle him. And Gandy almost made the tackle, who was a huge offensive lineman for the Cardinals. So all three of them kind of converge on him at the goal line. And you don't know initially if they're going to call it a touchdown. Then you see the replay. And as somebody who's cheering for the Cardinals, just down the road here in their first Super Bowl, another 9-7 team with a history of failures, I was like, this is going to be a touchdown. This is going to be 17-7 Steelers at the break. I can't believe it. And then there was the last 3 minutes of the game had the touchdown.
Oh, yeah.
Fitzgerald,
So
the incredible touchdown to Holmes, and Bruce Arians was the offensive coordinator of the Steelers that year too, which is kind of an interesting side point. But
that was an incredible Super Bowl, man. That was a good one. Warner too. Yeah, good stuff.
Announced, and he I don't know how much you were listen to him as a broadcaster, but he was just such a great analyst. He had so much passion for the sport. So it was the perfect game.
Awesome. Yeah, if we can get even a fraction of that this year, I will be so happy.
Yeah.
So happy. Excellent, man. That's awesome. So, okay, that takes care of that. That's the 5. Several of them were historic. How about anything else of note in this particular matchup? I mean, we saw these guys play each other earlier this year. It was a good game. It was a great game, 27-24. That was the one Tyreek went crazy, if I remember correctly.
You did.
What do you got on these two matching up?
There he is.
What's up, guys?
Sean.
How we doing?
Good. We're in the middle of an interview.
This Lions.
Yeah. Yeah.
What do you think
Welcome
of
to the show.
coach?
What was that?
What do you think of that new Lions coach? He's pretty crazy.
Okay, so here's the thing. Hey, let me crack a beer here quick. The interview was not, or the introductory press conference was not as crazy as that 15-second clip made it look. Like, that made it look pretty crazy. You know, like, yeah, the whole kneecap bit, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about, dude. Like no one needs to lose their kneecaps. Like, that doesn't need to happen. But like, as much as I don't necessarily agree with everything that he was saying, like, it made sense and I get it. It's a culture change and that's what they're going for. So,
well, I don't know if you followed Okuda on Twitter. He seems pretty excited. He's like, he said, I can't wait. I can't wait for this season. So yeah, one of his players are buying into it, you know?
He also said he's changing numbers, which is great because, like, get him off of number 30. That's terrible. Like, we don't want number 30 on a cornerback. That's not a cornerback number. Get it out of there. So he's doing that. And I think a lot of his excitement had to do with the new defensive backs coach they were bringing out of the Rams.
Oh, yeah. He was a good DB in his day.
Yeah.
Okay. So to answer your question about KC, Tampa Bay history, I got a couple of gems for you. You know, in 1976, the first year of the Buccaneers, they actually played in the AFC West division.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, that's a true fact. Yeah, the only one season they played in the AFC was their inaugural season. What they wanted to do with the Seahawks and the Buccaneers, the two new teams, was have 1 year where they would be in different conferences and then switch them to their regular conference in 77 so that they would have at least one game against each NFL franchise at the time. So that was kind of the idea of that. And so at 76, Buccaneers were the number one worst team in NFL history, way worse than the 08 Lions and the 2017 Browns, way worse. And they did play the Chiefs in their inaugural season. Well, 3 years later, 1979, the Buccaneers, now in the NFC Central with the Packers, Bears, Vikings, and Lions, won the division, just their fourth season of history, and they clinched it in the last game of the season in an absolute monsoon in Tampa against the Chiefs. And I think the final score is 3-0, if I remember correctly. And the kicker for Tampa was the skinniest player I've ever seen in my life. You got to look this kid up. Neil O'Donoghue. He was a kicker. He must have weighed about 100 pounds and soaking wet like it was in this game. 2008, the Chiefs and Buccaneers played a tremendous game. The Chiefs were coached by Herm Edwards at the time, and they had like won one of their previous 16 games. And they had a quarterback named Tyler Thigpen. And the Buccaneers quarterback at the time was Jeff Garcia, and head coach was John Gruden. And the Chiefs got up 24-3, and the Buccaneers came back and won in OT at Arrowhead. So that was kind of a fun game. I posted it on my Twitter today. So if you want to watch the highlights of that game, it's kind of a fun game. It's 12 years ago, but whatever. And then earlier this year, a couple of takeaways from that game was that I think the Buccaneers outcoached themselves early in that ball game. I think they said, okay, we're gonna play man defense, which is absolutely awful against Kansas City, because I think Coach Belichick taught us when you face Kansas City that you have to double Hill and double Kelsey and force them to beat you with other people. And although Belichick hasn't always beaten the Chiefs, I think he's been the best against them. Don't you think? Like,
actually, Matt Patricia he was the best against them. That was the last time that Mahomes didn't throw a touchdown pass.
Oh yeah, okay, and that was in the Dome, right? That fluke. I think it was a fumble return. It was kind of a
100-yard fumble return on a play that everyone thought was whistled dead. Yeah.
But earlier this year, the Chiefs played a terrible game against the Patriots. I think it was a Monday afternoon game. And if Cam Newton were in that particular game, I think the Patriots would have won. But Hoyer played. I don't know if you remember this game. And it was just a dreadful football game all the way around. But I think if like the Patriots had any semblance of offense, they would have beat the Chiefs that day. But it just showed me that, again, the only way – like I'm big on the Chiefs in this game, to be honest with you. But I think the only way Tampa can win two things. One is you got to double Kelsey and double Hill and force, guys like Watkins and Hardman and Edwards-Helaire to beat you, and dirty Darrell Williams. Number one. Number two, capitalize on any turnovers. They don't turn the ball over a lot, but if they do, the assassin Tom Brady will make him pay. He's been lights out capitalizing on turnovers in this playoffs. 14 against Green Bay, 21 against the Saints, where they, number one, you have to force the turnover, and people like Devin White, Pierre-Paul, Barrett, they should be able to come up with one or two takeaways, but it's no big deal if you take the ball away, if you go 3 and out like the Packers showed Sunday. Brady kind of threw interception. Evans probably should have had that ball. And then the next possession, he threw an interception, which was kind of a punt. I really don't blame Brady for that third pick. But the Packers went 3 and out. So, big deal. Not a problem. You could turn the ball over if that's the best option on the play. And then hope your defense forces a 3 and out like Tampa was able to do with the pressure against Rodgers. And they won. Now, their defense, if they expect to be able to accomplish the same things against Mahomes that they did against Rodgers, I don't know. That's
yeah. And if you go back to that first matchup, so the Buccaneers did figure it out with Tyreek Hill. So like the beginning of the game, Carlton Davis had shut down everybody he played against, and he continued to do that the rest of the year after Tyreek Hill. But unfortunately, like Carlton Davis is not the type of corner you want covering Tyreek Hill, because he's a physical guy that's going to press you at the line. He's not super fast. He's not going to run with you, all that stuff. And so like Michael Thomas, I think he held to like 6 yards on the year through 2 matchups or 3 matchups, whatever it was. Like he shuts people like that down. Tyreek Hill, different story. You need a different type of guy on that. And the Bucs don't have that because Sean Murphy-Bunting and Carlton Davis, they're from the same mold. They're those physical corners that are going to get up on you and they're going to fight you at the catch point. Tyreek Hill, you're not even going to be with him at the catch point if you run like those two do. So realistically, they need the safety help over the top, and they figured that out in the second half, and it toned down a little bit.
Yeah. They scored 10 points in their last 10 possessions. Yeah.
Yep. And they were like Tyreek Hill was on track to just shatter records that day, and then he didn't. And like even if you would have extrapolated the first quarter out to just like 2 quarters, he would have shattered records, and they still shut him down mostly after they kind of got it figured out a little bit. So yeah, I expect them to recognize that and come in and not allow Tyreek Hill to do that this time around.
Here's a problem I see, though, for the Buccaneers is that the Chiefs' defense is a little unheralded. I like Chris Jones kind of wreaking havoc even against the run game. I think even if the Buccaneers try to establish Fournette and Ronald Jones, there's a guy like Chris Jones in the middle. I think Matthew is an unbelievably good safety, maybe the best in the NFL at this point. He's been doing a lot of good things. I think he could confuse Brady. I think they can force some turnovers. So I actually think Kansas City is going to win based on the strength of their overall team and not just Mahomes gunslinging it. I think this defense gets a little lost in the fog sometimes.
I think one of the major issues with Tampa Bay has been their commitment to running the ball on early downs. Like everything tells you that is not an effective way to run an offense, and they still do it. And they're succeeding in spite of that, not because of it, where it's like, I know that people like playoff Lenny, and I know that Leonard Fournette's been playing well.
Lenny.
But like, dude, I'm sorry, this is not a recipe for success, and you're not winning because Leonard Fournette's running the ball well. You're running in spite of running Leonard Fournette, or you're winning in spite of running Leonard Fournette. It's just like, you got to go out there and you got to win on the arm of Tom Brady. Like, you're not going to do it if you're trying to run Ronald Jones and Leonard Fournette up against Chiefs defense on early downs. And like, the thing the Bills found is that they were aggressive all year long. And then they got conservative against the Chiefs. And that's not what you can do. You can't do that. Like, you got to count on the Chiefs scoring a touchdown on every drive, and you have to just assume that. And you have to play offense. Like, every drive is touchdown or bust. So I don't know what Bruce Arians and Byron Leftwich are going to pull out in this one, but if you're not playing aggressive, like, you're not winning this game.
Oh, my dream scenario, Johnny, is the Gronkowski scoring the winning touchdown. I love that, man. Great, or AB, of all things.
Oh my God, Sean, did you have anything written down question-wise?
No.
Okay, no,
You
just
know what?
checking.
I was also say something. Well, he said something about the guy's kneecaps. There's, I was thinking back to I don't know if you remember, the Eagles used to play at a place called the Veterans Stadium. Do you remember this? Veterans?
Yes. I went to a game there. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I saw the Phillies play there a few times. I was never there for an Eagles game, but in 1993, the Eagles played the Bears, and this wide receiver for the Bears named Wendell Davis tore both ACLs on a single.
How does that happen?
Yeah, you have to look it up on YouTube.
I don't want to.
No, don't. No.
Good.
Woo.
He went to jump for a pass, and his feet got caught in the turf, and so when he jumped, his legs didn't go with him.
Oh my God!
Both, and his kneecaps ended up in his thighs. So that's what.
Why would I have to look this up? Like,
well,
you said kneecaps, and it just made me.
No, you said kneecaps. I didn't say anything about kneecaps.
Coach Campbell said kneecaps, but it made me think of that particular injury. That's all.
I looked up the Neil O'Donohue thing. You're not kidding, man. That is one ugly looking dude. Good Lord.
Yeah. Oh man.
Hey, so thoughts on two teams that you've lived near them, so you've witnessed them for a good portion of your life. The Bills and the Raiders. What are your thoughts on their seasons, their future prospects?
Ugh. The Raiders are so frustrating because they're so close to being a great football team, and they beat the Chiefs. In the second game they played against the Chiefs, they really came close to beating them. I mean, they're probably one red zone failure away from at least going into overtime with the Chiefs in that game. But their defense is just terrible. I mean, and the thing that bothers me about the Raiders is they drafted Farrell ahead of Devin White, Cleve Farrell, and Devin White was the next person selected who would be, a great fit for anybody, but especially for the Raiders, who just lack that, that tenacious defender in the middle of the field. Instead they have Kwiatkowski and Littleton, who are, nominal at best. They drafted a bunch of, Mayock went DB heavy, with Arnett and Mullen and Abram, and they're good young players, but they're no match for Kansas City. They were no match for the Chargers either. I mean, they even struggled against Jerry Jeudy and the Broncos in the last game of the year, for God's sake. So I think this is a long rebuild, unfortunately, but I will say this: it's going to be a great place to watch games when we open that stadium. It's the greatest stadium you'll ever want to see. When I drive past it, I get goosebumps because it's so gorgeous. It's so perfect for our city. Now, as far as the Bills are concerned, I mean, I think you can't. I mean, what they put together, and he had a process. GM Bean and Coach McDermott, they had a process and they really put it into place. Now, it required that Josh Allen have a monumental upswing this year, and he did. He played really well, and he's a good dual threat. He's great on the run, throwing the ball. He's got a nice, accurate deep ball now. Diggs has been a revelation. Beasley's a nice player. Knox is coming up. John Brown's okay. So they have some weapons. Defensively, they're pretty good. That's McDermott's defense. Leslie Frazier's kind of a figurehead. I think he probably leaves anyway. But like you guys were saying before, I think when it got down to it, they coached very poorly in the championship game. Coach Reed is a master, though. He'll take advantage of you. And
You can't let them, man. And they did. They let them take advantage of it.
Yeah, they did. But I see good things in the future for the Bills. I think they have a chance to compete next year. I don't know. What do you think? You think they'll? I mean, think
huge step forward. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to spin this onto Lions talk real quick. So with Matt Stafford leaving and going somewhere else, do you think it's possible he could do something? I mean, maybe not to the extent Brady did, but lead a different team to the playoffs and postseason success. And you think that's definitely a possibility, right?
Yeah, he's got great arms, very talented, toughest guy in the NFL. Sure. I mean, he could fit right in with Indianapolis. I think it'd be an upgrade from Rivers, right?
It'd be a huge upgrade from Rivers. Yeah. I think you send him to the 49ers or you send him to the Colts and they're immediately contenders for the Super Bowl. That said, like, the Lions franchise is in total disarray. I mean, like, you got to totally break that down and rebuild it. But, like, you send him to the 49ers, man. Like, if Stafford was quarterbacking that 49ers team last year in the Super Bowl, if you just trade out Jimmy G for Matt Stafford, that's it.
Yep.
49ers win that game.
Last year's Super Bowl 54 fourth quarter is one of my most disheartening quarters in NFL history.
Yeah. I mean, like
Coach Shanahan blew it. They were running Mostert and Samuel on these great plays. And then with the game on the line, they put it in Garoppolo's hands. And Garoppolo's okay. I don't think he's terrible, but
I do. But
in that moment to take, you think about Mostert. How many times last year during the playoffs did you see him go untouched to about 7 to 10 yards before somebody even touched him?
I think it was the right call to make that happen. I think that most quarterbacks in the NFL make that throw. So I think Kyle Shanahan made the right call. It was an easy throw.
Poorly executed.
Super poorly executed. So yeah, going back to I was gonna say Oakland, but Vegas Raiders real quick though. Like, I don't think Devin White was the pick there. I think if you trade out Cleveland Farrell for Brian Burns, you're in a totally different situation. Like, they made the right pick as far as position. They drafted the wrong player. I think that's what it was, where it's like, Devin White's great. I don't think a linebacker changes a defense like to a significant effect. I think when you look at Tampa Bay, even their defense is great. Their linebackers are great, but they're great at certain things and they're schemed to do certain things. You look at
a great leader, and there's so many things he does well. I just love the kid.
He is. He's a great linebacker, but he is great.
Brady going in there. He's not the greatest quarterback in the world anymore, but he's a great.
He might be.
Maybe he still is.
No one knows. He just keeps winning. You're talking to a dude that podcasts with two guys that called him a system quarterback. So
stand by it.
And still do.
Yep. Just went to a different system that's just as good.
No, I just took the system with them.
Oh my God.
Hey, so we touched on this real quick beforehand. We'll bring it back up. Larry Fitzgerald, Phillip Rivers, Drew Brees, automatic Hall of Fame, all three. Rivers is the one people give me iffy vibes on. I think yes. What's your take?
Yeah, Rivers should be in the Hall of Fame. I mean, his numbers are there. He didn't do anything. Let me put it this way: he didn't do anything less than Dan Marino, and Dan Marino was first ballot. Rivers probably won't be a first ballot Hall of Famer, but he's got the numbers. What's great about Rivers though? I just think he's such a cool guy. So and don't think that these media people that put these people in the Hall of Fame don't consider these kinds of things, like building relationships. Because guys like Zach Thomas and Alan Faneca should be in the Hall of Fame already, but they're not, And why? Because nobody cares about Zach Thomas. But everybody, they'll break their necks over Eli Manning and Phillip Rivers. Why? They make great relationships. They're quarterbacks. They're that's the way it goes. But yeah, I mean, Breeze is going in first ballot, and Fitzgerald as well, of course.
I think Eli Manning gets into the Hall of Fame just based on that photo of him with like the dad bod and the little bucket. Like, I think that photo alone is Hall of Fame worthy, and if it's not, then I don't want to be in the Hall of Fame. Like,
it's not Frank's hot sauce commercials.
Yeah,
he puts it on everything.
Love it.
No,
Was there any?
Eli, this time of year always makes me think of Eli, though, because you think about the 07 Giants and some of that is one of the most unlikeliest things in the history of football. In fact, Barnwell wrote a nice article on ESPN.com about the Brady's 10 trips to the Super Bowl and which one was the most difficult path. And he compared this year to the 07 Giants, this year's Buccaneers, to the 07 Giants, who had to win not only at Tampa Bay in the wild card game, but at Dallas, who was the number 1 seed with Romo and Owens at the peak of their power in a Wade Phillips defense. And then they had to win at Lambeau Field when the temperature was about 0 with a real crappy kicker. Tynes was terrible. And so that was quite an accomplishment. And then they had to beat maybe the best team in the history of football to win the Super Bowl. So Eli deserves a lot of credit for that. I don't think he should have been the MVP of that Super Bowl. I think the next one that he won, he was probably the MVP in 07, Super Bowl 42. The MVP should have been Justin Tuck. I mean, he was just a terror in that game, along with Umanura and Strahan. It was just, that pass rush was fantastic. And, the defensive coordinator was Steve Spagnuolo.
So just like, quick question here. Theoretically,
yeah,
let's say Jimmy Garoppolo wins that Super Bowl last year, right? And outduels Patrick Mahomes, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Then let's say next year, Jimmy Garoppolo wins another Super Bowl for the 49ers.
Yeah.
And Patrick Mahomes goes on to have Tom Brady-esque career.
Okay.
Are we talking about Jimmy Garoppolo in the Hall of Fame?
Not over five years of and maybe 60 games. There has to be some sort of legacy involved. I mean, he's going to be very, very close if that is true. If he wins any quarterback who wins 2 Super Bowls comes very close.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, if he wins 2 Super Bowls and they're both against Patrick Mahomes, and Patrick Mahomes goes on to be Tom Brady, like, I don't know that Eli Manning was ever like a top quarterback in the NFL. I think a lot of it has to do with the legacy of him versus Tom Brady. Like, if Tom Brady did not exist, I don't know that Eli Manning's in.
Yeah. Well, here's something to keep in mind, though. Eli retired top 10 all-time passing touchdowns, passing yards. And 08, he was, I think he was in 08, they were 12-4. He was very good that year. He had multiple years where he was a Pro Bowler. That matters to voters. They'd say, 4-time Pro Bowler, stuff like that.
Trubisky's a Pro Bowler.
One time, yeah. But I think Garoppolo, you'd have to see more of a resume. I think the best thing for Garoppolo in this theory would be his win percentage is phenomenal. I don't know if you've seen, like, he's like 27-12 lifetime, something crazy,
Yeah, it's Kyle Shanahan.
Yeah.
System quarterback.
Well, he was, that's true. And I think he was 2-0 with the Patriots too.
He was. Yeah. Which is the only reason anybody calls Tom Brady a system quarterback, and here we are. So
Matt Castle too.
Oh my God.
Yeah, but that Matt Castle season is kind of a smoke and mirrors because he was 11-5 on a team that Tom probably would have been 15 or 16 wins that year.
Oh yeah. No, they were good. That was against the Chiefs. He blew his ACL out that year. It was like a bomb touchdown pass, and you go bye-bye. I remember that.
Yeah. that's when the Chiefs were garbage too.
Yeah. Yeah. Anything else you want to touch on that we didn't cover? I know we went through most of the pre-show questions here.
Well, again, I think I do want to emphasize that Alan Faneca should get in the Hall of Fame this year. He was six-time All-Pro guard for the Steelers under Coach Cowher, and a world champion, Super Bowl 40 champion. And the only reason he's not in is because he played offensive line, because he played guard. But he's one of the greatest football players in NFL history. And for it to take this long for him to get in the Hall of Fame is really stupid. So that would be as a football historian, that would be my 2 cents. I think Faneca goes in this year. I love, of course, Peyton is going to get in this year, one of the 10 greatest players ever. Charles Woodson should get in this year, one of the best corners ever, 2009 Defensive Player of the Year. Zach Thomas, I like his chances as a 5-time All-Pro. He just happened to play during the Derek Brooks, Ray Lewis era, so he get lost in the shuffle there. And then if you're into Kelvin Johnson being a first ballot Hall of Famer, he should go. If you don't think he should go on the first ballot, then Reggie Wayne from the Colts should be the 5th player to me, who had excellent numbers. He was a stud in the Super Bowl. He was clutch. And it would be cool to see him go in with Manning.
So question for you then. Do you think that it's do you think it's in their minds thinking about okay, we should probably throw in a really modern candidate? Do you think that factors in at all, where it's Kelvin Johnson is the new generation of sports fans, and most of the new generation, they were not there for all of Manning's career. They were there for the back end. So do you think it's possible that Calvin has an edge there just because he's the back end and they're yeah, okay, we got to get someone modern in there to get somebody people care about?
I don't know if that would be something where they'd say this is the difference. I think the biggest difference with Calvin Johnson is what he did in 9 years is what Reggie Wayne did in 14. That's what they'll look at.
Yeah.
When they compare the two players. But if knowing how Hall of Fame voters think is all I'm saying is, do they think Calvin Johnson, based on the other people that they've put in at the first year, does he compare to those people? Does he compare to Peyton Manning? Does he compare to Charles Woodson? They may say no. And if they say no, then they may grab Reggie Wayne, who posted in 14 years Calvin Johnson-like numbers.
Which is just a fascinating mindset where they think about, okay, is this guy a first ballot, or is this guy a second ballot, third ballot? Yeah. And they're yeah, okay, we're going to let him in next year for sure. Yeah. But we can't do it this year because we can't let him in with the other guys. It's a really interesting mindset.
It might not happen, but it could happen. I mean, it could happen where they take Kelvin Johnson and Jared Allen this year because they think that they were so good compared to the rest of this class, the rest of these finalists. And we'll see. I've been reading since I was a child, I've been reading these Hall of Fame voters, like Greg Cosell and Peter King and these people that ultimately make these decisions. And you kind of learn after you read a particular board enough in your life how the guy thinks. You guys probably now know how Tony Romo thinks, because it's plastered all everywhere. I mean, the guy does not back down from saying anything. So that's kind of how my youth and sports writers are. So anyway, that's how I feel. Faneca's got to get in.
Love it.
I did love how casually you were just aggressive about that take. Just, well, and if Faneca doesn't get in, everyone's idiots, and they can all go fuck themselves. And okay.
Well, you won't hear me say that. I'm more of a Phillip Rivers when it comes to my.
Love it. What do you got coming up for projects? I know you always got a video series coming or something. Yeah, what's coming down the pike here?
Well, I don't know if you've noticed, I just finished the greatest 50 teams in sports history. And so number one was the 96 Bulls, and I had the the 77 Canadians. Well, I should say the 50 greatest sports teams of the last 50 years is how I did it, because I didn't want to compare like Bill Russell Celtics, which won every year because they were playing people that were 6 feet tall. You know, I didn't want to put them on the table. I just wanted, you know, kind of the most even ideas of this. So anyway, that was really a fun project because it gave me an opportunity for once in my life to study hockey and basketball and baseball, which are, you know, loves of mine. Just, you know, I'm just not a doctorate in either of those things. So, so that was a lot of fun. And so if you scroll through the timeline, you just want to see like, where would Dr. Super Bowl rank my beloved, you know, 1986 Celtics, or my beloved, you know, 2016 Cubs, or, you know, the 84 Tigers, or whoever you like the most in sports, you know, where do they rank, or do they even rank? Because I didn't put the 07 Patriots on this list because they didn't win the Super Bowl. And so to me, that disqualifies them, you know, whereas the 72 Dolphins are right at the top, you know, and right near the top. So that was a fun project. Tomorrow I'm releasing the where I do Super Bowls, all the Super Bowls of this century in 2 minutes. So I just spit out the score since Super Bowl 34, you know, when the Rams beat the Titans 23-16 and so forth.
And people, I'm not sure if everyone knows this, but you're just doing that from memory. Like
Yeah.
we've known you for long enough to know that's just from memory. Like I'm sure there are people that are like, oh, he's reading that somewhere. No.
Yeah. Well, a lot of it though, just to be fair, full disclosure, a lot of it I do have to study like the day before. You know, it's not like when I did my series on Las Vegas Raiders history bits, and I would spit out all the scores of every game between the Raiders and Panthers in their history. Like I didn't know it off the top of my head. I had to look it up the day before and kind of memorize it. And then the next day I'd say, okay, so this is what happened when the Raiders last played Carolina 2016. It was the game when Khalil Mack had a fumble return for a touchdown, you know. So anyway, that's
does not make it less impressive. Like you think it does, it doesn't. To us lay people, we're sitting here like, dude, doesn't matter. Like still super impressive.
Do right off the top of my head though, without having to look it up. Like if you say, tell me every Super Bowl MVP or every AFC champion, you know, or every NBA champion since 1960 or something, I could do it. Or every Kentucky Derby winner since 1970, you know, I could do it. Or every Genesis album, you know, because I love Genesis and so a Rush album, you know, 21. In fact, the halftime.
Yes. Hold on, you're a Rush fan?
Yeah, halftime score of the Chiefs Bills was 21-12.
I've seen Rush over 20 times in my life. That was my dad's band. We used to see them at least twice a year. That's my band. 2112, favorite song of all time, favorite album. Actually, Moving Pictures might be favorite album, but 2112 favorite song. So big Rush guy.
Yeah, that Moving Pictures is my favorite album of all time, along with Face Value, which was also released in 1981, a Phil Collins album. Those are my two favorites. Both 81. But yeah,
R.I.P. Neil Peart.
Yeah, he was the greatest. My hero, my role model.
Awesome, man. Well, dude, it is always a pleasure having you on. Like seriously. We'll do this again. Yeah, right. No, we'll do this again next Super Bowl and hopefully in the off season too. Appreciate it, man. Anyone can find him on Twitter at DR Super Bowl. Thank you, sir, as usual.
Dynasty Football Digest, your new essential site for Dynasty information. For as little as $1 a month, gain access to all that we have to offer. Rankings, trends, ADP, in-season assets, and a Slack chat just for subscribers. Purchase today at dynastyfootballdigest.com.
Yeah, so some of these ads are a little outdated, and we will be changing that up also in the offseason on our break, as Dynasty Football Digest has been brought into IDP guys.
Can you just cut the ad rather than talk about it?
Why? I don't. I'm trying to make less work for myself. it is there, and I haven't changed that clip. So that is, I'm letting it ride, man.
All right, let her ride.
I'm getting into off-season mode, but but with that, let's talk some steak and salad. Johnny, what do you got for steak?
Ghost of Tsushima, great game. Been playing it. It's been an experience. It's got me writing haiku. I'd like to recite one for you guys. This is the Taco Bell haiku.
Children, earmuffs, everybody.
Yep. Butt cheeks spread open, yelling in pain, hot lava at the speed of light. You like that? Thank you. But no, seriously, it's a great game. It forces you to write haiku at certain points during the game. So it's like there's cool stuff like that. I'm down 45 pounds since March. I don't know if you guys saw in the video. There's fat me. Now there's regular size me. So that's nice.
How related is that to you writing haikus?
Not directly, but I could see. I mean, I actually have a bunch of them here. Like, it's fun.
You're okay. You don't have to read anymore. You're good.
Yeah. No, I could go on.
I think we need to publish Johnny's haikus at some point.
That'll be a part of the app.
Yeah.
No, but things are good.
Sorry, go ahead. I was gonna say that's part of the extra premium subscription, $20 a month.
Right.
You get all the haikus.
Yes, and access to feats and meats. But no, yeah, things are good. I have no complaints. I was gonna ask Sean about the Chauncey Gardner-Johnson kidney punch, if you want to comment on that real quick.
I think he was going for the ball. I do. I really do. It looks bad, but I really think that he was going for the ball. I don't know.
But I don't know. This might have been a conversation I had with someone else, but isn't there a lot of game issues and player issues that have involved CJGJ in the last little bit, to the point that it's suspect that he might be the problem?
Oh yeah, he's definitely the problem for sure. He's a chirpy motherfucker. Like, that dude talks, and that's kind of why I liked him coming out of college. Like, I'm gonna be honest, man. Like, these dudes, you play wide receiver, you play cornerback, like, you better be able to talk shit, because like that's what you're doing all game long. You're gonna sit there against another dude who's gonna be going one-on-one against you. Same with offensive tackles and defensive ends. If you're going against the same dude all day long, you better be talking shit and trying to get in their head. And it's why I love Jair Alexander. It's why I love Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, Carlton Davis. Like, all these dudes, they sit there and they chirp at you. They talk, and I love it.
Nice.
The punch in the gut, if intentional, a little too far, but talk shit, steal the mouth guard. The stealing the mouth guard will love forever. Thought that was amazing, and I will stand by that.
Dude, stealing the chain. Remember stealing that was the first one.
That
was incredible.
All that shit. Like, I love it all. I will die for those people.
Jesus, what's your steak?
Yeah, what's your steak, bud?
I'm gonna do my steak and salad same time, because as usual, it's duality. Steak, I got my PS5. It's awesome, and I love it. Salad, there are not many games to play for it, obviously, which was anticipated. Good news is a lot of these PS4 games run better on PS5, and so I'm going back to some of them. I'm playing some games I haven't played before. About 90% of the way through Horizon Zero Dawn, which I was about 80% of the way through before. And then I rage quit out of spite because my buddy would not stop nagging me about playing it when I was working 50 hours a week. So I was just like, fuck it, I'm not finishing this game. It's not happening. And so I just rage quit it. And now I'm going back to it without telling him. So
should I get that or Assassin's Creed Valhalla next?
You've never played Horizon?
No.
Oh, definitely Horizon. If you played it before, the difference between PS4 and PS5 is minimal. Valhalla, great game, not a Horizon level game. It's like there are the games that are like great games, and there are the games that are fun games. All the Assassin's Creeds, those are fun games. Horizon's a great game.
Cool. Okay.
All right, my stake kind of talked about it a little bit in the listener questions, but bringing on a developer, get some things that are just beyond my ability done, so that we can create these things for our audience, or our listeners, or viewers. Some stuff that will be coming down the pike that will be very groundbreaking for IDP, and integral for just team management for your league, and for your, being able to import your roster and have it compared to some of our data and stats and stuff like that, to help you with start sit decisions, waiver decisions, stuff like that. These are all things coming up. Very possible this year before the summer. Now that I got this guy on board, I'm going to be working very hard to get some real cool things on the level of like what Dynasty nerds have put together, what DLF has put together. So
Nice. All right, salads. Nothing crazy. I'll miss Drew Brees. I'll miss Larry Fitzgerald a lot. I'll miss Rivers too. Laserface, like your original Laserface.
Stafford.
Yeah, he's not gone yet.
But he's gone from our
He's
team.
gone.
Yeah, I don't give a shit about that.
You wouldn't. You're not a fan.
My salad is now that Johnny's dead to me. So
Yeah. Well, my salad is definitely Stafford leaving the Lions, but also just the state of the Lions right now.
Who could have possibly seen this coming? Who could have possibly been saying this?
And also just the level.
Oh man, 16-0. 16-0. They won 2 games. They're gonna go 16. Fuck out of here.
What is the level of just disdain I have for Sean right now? Especially what he's been going around commenting on certain Twitter peoples with hashtag trust in Quinn, and I just need that negativity to end in my life.
No, you know what?
I get it. I'm kicking myself for ever supporting, and I really hope that Bob Quinn, Matt Patricia won't even be allowed in the Detroit airport.
Right. Here's the thing. Everyone can be pissed at me for the like sarcastic trust in Quins that I'm throwing around there, but like, dude, I was trashed on Detroit Lions Twitter for 3 years, criticizing Bob Quinn, saying that he was garbage and he had no idea what he was doing. And nobody is admitting they're wrong. They're like, none of them. Nobody.
Well, I am. I'm 100%.
Did you guys see,
which is why I haven't said anything to you yet.
Sean, was that your poll, the one that it was like who's hated the most, and it was like Ebron beat out Quinn, and it's like, what is that?
That was not my poll, but that was one where I came out and was like, I cannot believe Ebron is hated more than Bob Quinn right now. Like, Ebron was a good player for the Lions. He just wasn't worth the draft capital, whereas Bob Quinn destroyed an entire franchise. Like, he took this team and he just was like, all right, we are going to slowly drown you. Like, we are going to put you in the bathtub and drown you. And we're going to laugh while we do it. And then we're all going back to the Patriots. Like, get fucked, man.
That's one of the things that I don't understand with Patriot fans thinking that Stafford, and I don't know what Stafford is thinking at all, but how can Stafford go through the last 5 years of the Patriot way and then want to play for the Patriots? Even if it is Belichick, it's a different coach and everything. I just feel
Patricia's back there, dude.
Yeah, Patricia's back there.
Right.
Like,
Right.
how is he gonna just be like, oh yeah, the last 5 years doesn't matter, and I'm just gonna go play for the Patriots? And
The thing is, it doesn't matter what he wants because like Deshaun Watson has no trade clause, so he can overrule any trade he gets. So like, if you try and send him to the Lions, he's gonna be like, "Nah, dude, like I'm not going to the Lions." You try and send Stafford to the Patriots, and he says, "Nah, dude," and they're like, "Okay, but seriously, you're going to the Patriots," and that's the
well, I
end of
get he doesn't have a choice, but I would think that yeah, I mean, he doesn't have a choice where to go, but I could just don't see that as being someplace he'd want to go.
No, he
Like,
definitely
that seems like a
definitely
slap in the face.
right. He definitely doesn't want to go there. It doesn't matter where he wants to go, is my point. Like they're gonna send
Right.
him wherever they get the best offer. So
Yeah. But yeah, that's it. Just seeing the players that are left on contract. As far as wide receivers, I think I saw a list and it was like your top 3 are all. Yeah, Cephas is the only one that's under contract. So you got Marvin Jones gone, Kenny G gone,
Amendola.
who was Amendola's gone. Those were the big 3. I mean, that's your passing attack right there.
Right, because they already cut their number 4, Marvin Hall. So now you're down to Quintus Cephas, your rookie 5th-round pick. And then your next guy is Geronimo Allison, who is on your practice squad and was cut by the Packers earlier this year.
Right. So no receivers. You've got Swift as a running back. You've got Hawkinson as your tight end. Those 2 decent pieces to build off of. You got no quarterback.
But
I guess you got an offensive line, maybe.
The problem is you have to build around those guys before their rookie contract is up because you don't want to pay top money to a tight end or a running back, which means that like by drafting a tight end and a running back early, you set your window at 3 years, which means in 3 years, you got to pay Swift. In 4 years, you got to pay Hawk.
Yep.
It's like, yep, you're not going to want to do that. So,
yep. Put a bullet in my brain.
The IDP Guys is your #1 resource for IDP information for your fantasy leagues. For as little as $1 a month, get access to all that we have to offer. Rankings, ADP, trade calculator, in-season assets, and a Slack chat to get personal help all year round. Purchase today at idpguys.org.
Jonny The Greek.
It's kind of funny. I've been staring at the new site so much as I'm building it out. I've kind of forgot what the old site looked like until that clip there. But with that, let's we got Jonny The Greek. No statement games this week because well, we got a week before the Super Bowl. So the only thing I do want to say is check out, I'm doing a podcast, a YouTube show with Mark Salino, head over there at Statement Games. It's called Statement Games Live. We do that show, which is generally more business information, like sports business, and some tips on like do's and don'ts and stuff in the game, sports gaming world, as far as like we just covered how like Sheldon Adelson just died, head of Caesars, whatever the Caesars group. It's the casino, the Caesars Casino, but it's the group that like owns them. I don't remember, but we do that show, which is more on the business side, and then Making Picks is where we talk about games and make picks live on the show, and it's a good time. That YouTube channel is Statement Games, all one word, and then Inc. So look up Statement Games Inc. on YouTube and watch those shows. But with that, I turn it over to Jonny.
I listened to the ones you guys did for the NFC AFC title game. I was at that same game Mark was at, where Breeze and Reggie Bush annihilated the shit out of the Giants. It was great. Plaxico, 70-yard bomb to start the game. I'm like, shit. Here I am, Cowboys fan at a Saints-Giants game. I'm about to watch the Saints get their asses kicked. And they score the next 33 points, blow the doors off the Giants. It's Tiki Barber Day, so everyone's, ripping up their Tiki Barber commemorative freaking. Oh, man, that was great. That was a good game. That's funny. He was there. But it was a good show. I enjoyed it. You guys did a good job with that. And you nailed your pick there, the Leonard Fournette anytime touchdown. So congratulations.
Yeah. No, I'm coming back. I had a pretty bad deficit to start the year. And then this past week we did two making pick shows. One was a bonus, and I went 5 of 6 for my statements.
Nice.
And Mark went 2 for 6.
Oh, okay. There you go.
This will be an interesting show come up this next week. He's been giving me a lot of shit, so I plan to give it back.
There you go. One game to rule them all. So we went 12-8 for the season, which is much better than 17-17 the year before. So we're getting better. This is it. We'll make our Super Bowl picks. As it stands now, this game line will obviously change as the action comes in, but it's Chiefs -3. Over unders at 56. I'm going Chiefs straight up. Chiefs, -3 doesn't matter. Chiefs all the way over 56. What do you guys think?
All of the above.
Yeah, I mean, I like Chiefs here. What do you think about the fact that the left tackle went out and
don't care?
Then you've got the Buccaneers. You think just Patty Mahomes can get it done no matter what?
Yep.
I'm on board with that.
Until he proves me wrong, I'm not doubting him.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's good. I like it. All right. Well, with that, we're going to close out our show, episode 137. IDP guys, back from our little mini break before the big break. 3 episodes to finish off the season. Make sure you're following us at IDP guys. Individually, I'm at Nate Cheat. John is at OrangeMan3142, and Sean is at Lanny1925. Subscribe to the show. Go to iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play. I would send you to the website, but currently under lockdown. But go to our YouTube channel, Writer Digest Network, REITER, Writer Digest Network, where we are putting out a lot of good shows. We got IDP Nation over there, Devi IDP Grind. Actually, major congratulations to Dan Friedman, who we just put in as director of our video content. So he's going to be kind of helping me with the process of making sure videos go up and we optimize them so that they look the best. And new show creation. He's got some cool ideas coming for this new season. Maybe we will bring Dynasty Football Digest back from the dead. Who knows? Anything is possible. But definitely subscribe to Writer Digest Network on YouTube. With that be all, folks.
Go Chiefs.